Bonjour, comment ça va? Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. Indeed, I am very glad to meet you again to share with you another conversion story of a saint. During this season of Lent, um, during these 40 days, each day we are looking at a saint who was once a sinner but through the intervention of God in their lives became saints. And these stories we share so that their life story and their conversion story and their life example may be an inspiration for us during this season of Lent, that we may also have conversion in our own lives as well. This saint, whom we are going to see today, does not need an introduction. His name speaks for himself. He is the greatest saint. He is the pillar of our Catholic Church, and he had the greatest and dramatical, beautiful conversion story ever. Though this saint was a very ambitious young man, wanted to accomplish a lot of things in his life, and thought that everything that he was doing in the name of God was right and good. But when God intervened in his life and made him to realize what he was doing was wrong, and gave him conversion in his life and turned his journey in a different way. A person who was persecuting Christians became the preacher for Christians. That is Saint Paul. Saint Paul, the Apostle of Christ, was born at Tarsus in Cilicia, a Jew of tribe of Benjamin, a Pharisee, a Roman citizen, a tent maker by trade. He was originally called Saul and was educated in the sacred law of the Jews at the feet of Gamaliel in Jerusalem. After taking an active part in the stoning of the first Christian martyr, Saint Stephen, he placed himself at the service of the Jewish authority in their attempt to persecute and wipe out all Christians. However, was miraculously converted on the road to Damascus. When Christ asked him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" And when Paul replied, "Lord, when did I persecute you?" And he said, "Whenever you persecuted Christians, you persecuted myself." And he received directly from Christ his mission to evangelize the Gentiles. He did so in at least 4 apostolic journeys, extending from Cappadocia and Galatia, perhaps as far as Spain, establishing churches everywhere and ever surrounded by dangers of all sorts. He was shipwrecked, imprisoned, flogged, stoned, banished from several cities, persecuted by the hatred of his own people. Nevertheless, he was always burning for more sufferings and conquests for Christ. His 13 letters, addressed mostly to the churches which he had founded, belonged to the deposit of divine revelation. According to the church tradition, St. Paul was beheaded in Rome because he was a citizen of Rome. A Roman citizen could not be crucified like other Christians. Therefore, St. Paul was beheaded as a martyr. The conversion story of St. Paul is a most dramatical and miraculous one. The way Jesus encountered Saul and given him conversion and made him as a Saint Paul, as a missionary for the gospel of Christ. The one-time conversion that St. Paul had changed his life forever. No persecution, no sufferings, no pains, no harms could make him to give up his faith. He stood strong and even more faithfully fought for his faith and faith of his people. May the conversion story of St. Paul be an inspiration for all of us. We who at times want to give up our faith, want to give up our hope, want to give up our trust in God when we face difficulties. May we always look at the examples of St. Paul, how, in spite of all the hardships and failures he faced in his life, he never gave up his faith in God, but was a champion of faith and showed that he was a wonderful servant of Christ and his faith. May St. Paul pray for us that we stand strong in our faith in spite of all the failures and hardships that we face in our lives. Continue to trust in God and have our hope and trust in God always, like St. Paul. May God bless you and have a beautiful day.